In the ancient village of Umudara, surrounded by thick forest and red earth paths, there lived a man named Obinna. Obinna was not poor, no. He owned fertile farmlands that stretched beyond the stream. His barns overflowed with yams. His gold multiplied every season. His children never slept hungry. But still, Obinna wanted more. The villagers often said, a man who drinks from the river but still dies of thirst is caused by greed. And that cause lived inside Obinna. Whenever another man brought a new goat, Obinna wanted two. Whenever a woman harvested plenty, Obinna searched for a way to take part of it. His wife Adako warned him many times. Obinna, she said one night, while serving him pounded yam, wealth without peace is a sickness. But Obinna laughed loudly. Peace does not buy land, he replied. Kindness does not fill a barn. Only cleverness feeds a family. Adak lowered her eyes sadly because deep inside, she feared her husband's greed will one day invite darkness into their home. And darkness was already listening. Market day arrived like a festival. Women spread colorful wrappers on the ground. Children chased each other between stalls. Smoke from roasted fish floated through the air. Drums echoed. Laughter danced. And at the center of the market sat Obinna. His stall looked beautiful from afar. Large basket of beans, white gari, bright peppers arranged neatly. But beneath the beauty hid deceit. As customers approached, Obinna secretly tilted his measuring scale just slightly. Not enough to be obvious, only enough to steal. A handful here, a handful there. Small thefts that became mountains. Mama Nkechi stepped forward with folded arms. Obinna, she said carefully, why does your measure seem smaller every week? Obinna placed a hand dramatically on his chest. Ah, Mama Nkechi, you wound me. After all these years, you think I will cheat you? The old woman narrowed her eyes, but Obinna's smile was smooth like oil. People murmured uneasily. Yeah, they still bought from him. Because greed often survives where truth stays silent. That evening, the village men gathered in palm wine hut. Lanterns flickered. Voices rose in drunken songs. Obinna arrived, carrying a large calabash of fresh palm wine. Or so everyone thought. Earlier that day, he had secretly mixed water into the drink, half wine, half river water. Yet he sold each gourd at a double price. The first man drank and frowned. This tastes strange. Another spat onto the floor. It is weak. Obinna slammed the wooden table angrily. You insult me. My wine comes from the finest palm tree near the sacred river. The men grumbled quietly. No one wanted trouble. But in the corner of the hall sat an old blind storyteller named Duru. He slowly lifted his head and said, The fly that follows the corpse into the grave forgets that the grave is dug for all. The hut fell silent. Obinna rolled his eyes. Old men and their useless riddles, he muttered. But Duru's cloudy eyes remained fixed on him, almost as if he could see beyond flesh. The next morning, rain clouds gathered above the village. A frail widow named Mama Ezinne arrived at Obinna's store carrying her last basket of okra. Her clothes were faded, her feet swollen. She bowed weakly. "Please, Obinna," she begged. "My children have not eaten since yesterday. Buy this basket fairly." Obinna smiled forcefully. "Of course, Mama." He placed the basket on the scale, then secretly pressed his thumb down. He sighed dramatically. "It weighs very little." The widow's face fell. "But that cannot be. I can only pay you half," Obinna interrupted. Tears gathered in the woman's eyes. Still, she accepted, because hunger leaves little room for pride. But as she walked away, she whispered, "May the gods soften your heart someday." Obinna burst into laughter. "The gods reward the smart," he scoffed. But nearby, someone heard everything. A ragged stranger standing beneath a tree, watching silently. Later that afternoon, children played cowrie games in the dust. Their laughter echoed joyfully. Obinna walked past and stopped. "Ha! Let me join," he said with fake friendliness. The children hesitated, but he was an elder. They could not refuse. At first, he played fairly. Then slowly, his fingers began to move. Each time the children looked away, extra calories disappeared into his wrapper. Little Chike finally spoke up nervously. "Uncle Obinna, I think you took extra shots." The entire game froze. Obinna's face darkened. "You dare accuse me?" The children trembled. I didn't mean." Obinna snatched all the winnings aggressively. "This is the way of life," he barked. "The strong survive, the weak cry." The children scattered fearfully. Only the ragged stranger remained nearby, still watching, still silent. As sunset painted the sky orange, the stranger finally entered the market fully. His clothes were torn. Dust covered his feet. Yet his eyes carried a strange calmness. Not weakness, not fear, something deeper. He approached different stalls quietly. Most people ignored him. Some offered scraps. Finally, he reached Obinna. "Please," the beggar whispered softly, "spare me a little food so I may sleep without hunger." Obinna looked at him, up and down with disgust. "What can you offer me in return?" The beggar bowed slightly. "Only blessings." Obinna laughed loudly. "Can blessings buy goats?" Can prayers fill my barn? The beggar said calmly. Sometimes the smallest kindness saves a man from the greatest disaster. Obinna sneered. Then disaster should feed you tonight. Villagers nearby exchanged uncomfortable glances. Something about the beggar felt unusual. As the beggar turned away sadly, a mad woman suddenly rushed into the market. Rushed into the market screaming. Her hair was wild, her ankles covered in bells. People moved aside fearfully. She pointed directly at Obinna. You! She shouted. The spirits are counting your sins. Obinna cursed angrily. Get away from my stall. But the mad one began laughing strangely. Then she pointed at the beggar and instantly fell silent. Her eyes widened with terror. Slowly, she knelt before him. The entire market froze. Even the beggar seemed unsurprised. The mad woman whispered, trembling, the heavens walk among men today. Then she ran away screaming into the forest. Fear spread across the marketplace like wildfire. But Obinna only spat on the ground. Mad people and beggars, he grumbled, all useless. The beggar simply watched him quietly. A weary traveler soon approached Obinna's stall. Brother, he said weakly, please sell me food. Obinna handed him stale yam fried in burnt oil at triple price. The traveler hesitated, but hunger defeated dignity. As the man ate painfully, the beggar stepped forward once more. Obinna, he said gently, please, even a small piece. Obinna's face twisted with irritation. You again? The beggar nodded. I have eaten nothing in days. Something strange happened then. A little girl from the crowd walked up holding fresh bread. She offered it to the beggar. Before he could touch it, Obinna slapped it from her hands. The bread fell into mud. Grabs erupted across the market. Even the wind seemed to stop. You waste food on parasites, Obinna shouted. The little girl burst into tears. The beggar slowly bent down, picked up the muddy bread, and smiled sadly. Then he spoke words that made the air itself feel heavy. A man who rejects mercy dig a pit for himself. Suddenly, thunder cracked across the sky. The market darkened. Wind roared violently. The beggar strengthened slowly, and then his torn clothes began to glow. Villagers screamed. The dusty rags transformed into radiant white robes. Light burst from his body like fire from the sun. His eyes blazed. His feet burned like molten coal. The entire market fell to the ground in terror. A deity, someone cried. Obinna stumbled backward violently. His legs shook uncontrollably. The deity voice thundered across the village. Obinna, son of greed. The earth trembled beneath him. You steal from
You
widows.
steal from widows.
You
You
cheat
cheat
children.
children. You poison
You
travelers.
poison
You mock
travelers.
the hungry.
You
I am
mock the
sorry,
hungry.
forgive me.
Obinna collapsed to his knees. Please, mercy. But the deity's face remained cold. You were given wealth, yet your heart became poorer each day. The deity raised one glowing hand. Instantly, Obinna's basket burst open. Beans turned to dust. Yams melted into black rot. His cowries scattered into the wind. Far away, goats began collapsing one after another. Women screamed. Children cried. Then the sky itself darkened above Obinna's house. Lightning struck his barn. Whom! Flames exploded upward. The villagers watched in horror as years of stolen wealth burned before their eyes. Obinna wailed desperately. My children, my home. The deity's voice echoed. Wealth built on suffering cannot stand. Obinna crawled through the dirt crying, forgive me, I will change. But then the deity pointed towards the widow, Mama Izinne. Did you show mercy when her children cried? Silent. Then towards the little girl whose bread he slapped away. Did you honor innocence? More silence. Then towards the hungry traveler. Did you value human life above profit? Obinna's tears flowed endlessly, but the deity spoke one final sentence. A heart without compassion becomes its own punishment. Then the divine figure vanished in blinding light. After that night, everything changed. People stopped buying from Obinna. Children ran when they saw him. Even dogs barked as he passed. His wife Adako finally packed her belongings. Before leaving, she stood at the doorway sadly. I begged you to change, she whispered. Obinna reached for her desperately. Please don't leave. But Adako shook her head slowly. You lost your wealth long before the gods took it. You lost your soul. Then she walked away with the children, leaving Obinna alone. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The once proud man became thin and broken. He wandered from village to village begging for food. But people recognized him instantly. There goes the man who cheated even the gods. Doors closed, faces turned away, and for the first time in his life, Obinna understood hunger. One cold evening, years later, Obinna sat beneath a tree starving. Rain poured heavily. He had not eaten in 3 days. Then suddenly, a small boy approached him carrying roasted yam. The child smiled kindly. You look hungry, Papa. Obinna's hand trembled. No, keep it. But the boy insisted, take it. As Obinna reached for the food, he froze. The boy's eyes, they were the same as the beggar, calm, ancient, divine. Obinna looked up in terror, but the child only smiled and whispered, The gods punish, but they also watch if a man can change. The lightning flashed, and the boy vanished. Obinna broke down,
Please
crying beneath the
forgive.
rain.
Please, I am
Not
sorry.
from fear, but from shame. For the first time in his life,
Please forgive.
his
Please,
heart
I am
finally
sorry.
understood mercy. And so the elders say, greed built a house for a season, but kindness fills generation. Because a man who refuses to help the hungry will one day beg for crumbs himself. And sometimes the stranger you mock today may be a God testing your heart. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to African Folktales by Kairos for more powerful African stories filled with wisdom, mystery, and unforgettable lessons. And remember, not every beggar is ordinary.